Across Thailand, a bold new generation of queer creators is rewriting the rules, turning confidence into culture, laughter into liberation, and love into the loudest revolution. They show the world that visibility is power, that happiness is a right, and that being yourself is the most fearless thing you can ever do. These are the icons shaping Thailand's future, and their stories are just getting started. Charlotte Austin didn't set out to be an icon. She just wanted to be herself unapologetically. TikTok noticed, then Thailand noticed. Then, the whole world started paying attention. With every post, Charlotte brings a unique mix of elegance and playful charm. She can be glamorous one moment, creating cinematic beauty for millions, then burst into laughter the next, reminding everyone that even icons are human. Her confidence is magnetic. She stands tall in the spotlight without ever losing the softness that makes her so loved. And here's the magic. When Charlotte shows her love openly, she proves something enormous. Visibility is power. Visibility changes culture. Visibility saves lives. Teenagers scrolling in quiet fear suddenly feel seen. Parents who never understood now begin to listen. People who once judged start to rethink what love looks like. Charlotte isn't just popular. She is a gateway to acceptance. Her presence on screen says, "Your identity is beautiful. Your joy is valid. You deserve to be celebrated." And when a single person stands confidently in their truth, countless others find the courage to step into theirs. Charlotte shines, and in that glow, the world becomes just a little safer for queer love. Some beauty queens chase perfection. Engfa Waraha chased purpose. Before the glittering crowns, before the roaring crowds, Engfa was just a young woman with big dreams and a voice that refused to be silenced. She worked multiple jobs, sang in small cafes, pushed through rejection after rejection, not because life was easy, but because she believed she deserved a place in the spotlight. And when she finally took the Miss Grand Thailand stage, she didn't just shine. She stood like she was born to own that stage. Her confidence was electric. Her presence is unforgettable. Her resilience is undeniable. But the real story began after the win. Instead of becoming just another pageant queen smiling politely for cameras, she transformed her crown into a platform. She embraced the LGBTQ+ community openly and unapologetically. She spoke with conviction. She supported with consistency. She represented with courage. Every message she sends is a reminder. You are allowed to love loudly. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to be fully, fearlessly yourself. Girls who once hid their true selves now walk taller. Fans who once felt invisible now see possibilities ahead of them. Because Engfa doesn't just stand in the spotlight. She shines it on others. Her legacy is not in the perfection of her poses, but in the power of her purpose. Not in the height of her crown, but in the millions of hearts she lifts. There are countless beauty queens in the world. Very few make others feel beautiful too. Engfa Waraha is one of them. When Ok So Shy walks into a room, something changes. Lights feel brighter, conversations get louder, and suddenly, every moment feels like a runway. Ok isn't just a performer, Ok is a statement. With bold fashion, daring makeup, and a camera-ready presence, Ok transforms the ordinary into the unforgettable. But the power behind Ok's art isn't just the look, it's the soul behind it. Queer creativity, for Ok, is more than aesthetics. It's liberation. Every post, every outfit, every performance says, "I exist, I belong, and I refuse to shrink." Ok represents a new generation in Thailand, one that isn't waiting for permission to shine. There was a time when queer expression had to hide in shadows, hoping for acceptance. Ok kicks those shadows away with heels that hit the ground like thunder and outfits that rewrite what it means to be seen. For every young person scrolling TikTok thinking they don't fit, Ok gives them the words. You don't need to fit, you just need to be. Ok doesn't follow trends, Ok creates them. And in that fearless originality, Ok is helping the world imagine a future where creativity isn't judged, it's celebrated. Maylada Thong learned early that laughter is power. Not the kind that makes fun of people, but the kind that gives them strength. May bursts onto TikTok with outrageous humor, quick wit, and the kind of personality that feels like a best friend you haven't met yet. One moment, she's joking about relationships. The next, she's dancing like nobody's watching, even though millions are watching. Behind every joke, there's a quiet rebellion. Because every time she laughs with her girlfriend, every time she calls herself a proud lesbian, every time she shows happiness without hesitation, she is breaking a rule that never should have existed. May teaches a beautiful truth. Being queer isn't a tragedy. It's a joy worth celebrating. Teens who once hid their identities now tag their friends in their videos. Parents who never understood start laughing too, and laughter opens doors that fear once locked shut. May doesn't give lectures. She gives people the freedom to smile about who they are. And sometimes, that's exactly how revolutions begin. Before she became a voice for thousands, Tata Champu was just a girl trying to understand herself in a world that often demanded silence. She grew up watching others hide who they loved, shrink who they were, and trade happiness for acceptance. But she always felt that pretending would cost her something sacred, her own truth. So when she opened her first social media account, she didn't choose a character to play or a perfect version of herself to present. She chose honesty. Her videos weren't filled with glamorous angles or scripted moments. They were filled with everyday realities, awkward confessions, late-night thoughts, heartbreaks that still stung, and the kind of joy that erupts from being loved for who you truly are. She shared stories not as a performer, but as a human being who knew how heavy it feels to hide. At first, she wasn't sure if anyone would care. But slowly, comment by comment, view by view, she discovered something powerful. People were listening. Not because she was loud, but because she was real. Girls who once deleted their messages out of fear now asked her for advice. Women who had never seen themselves reflected anywhere suddenly found a mirror in her words. Couples who had only ever held hands in the dark now celebrated their love under the sunlight of her courage. Tata didn't create a community. She revealed one that had been waiting. Every time she looked into the camera, she wasn't simply filming, she was reaching out. And on the other side of the screen, someone was finally breathing easier, sitting straighter, feeling seen. Her motto is unspoken but undeniable. If love is real, it deserves daylight. That is why she continues to tell stories exactly as they are. The laughter that bubbles up without warning, the arguments that leave hearts bruised, the small victories that feel like entire worlds shifting. Her courage doesn't roar. It echoes quietly, steadily, spreading further every day. Tata never set out to be an icon. She set out to be honest. And that honesty has become a lifeline for countless others. Because sometimes, the most extraordinary revolution begins with one ordinary person daring to live openly. Tata Champu is that person. And her story is still being written. Not in bold headlines, but in the hearts of everyone who finally feels proud to be themselves. Before the cameras, before the followers, before anyone labeled them a representation, there were simply two young men who chose each other. Tak Phongsakan didn't plan to become a public figure for queer love. He wasn't trying to send a message or make a statement, he was just living his life, one moment of love at a time. Their story began the same way many love stories do, with shy smiles, small jokes, and the growing realization that one person in the room mattered more than anyone else. What made them special wasn't perfection or drama, it was the everyday tenderness they allowed the world to see. Their videos are quiet in the most beautiful way. A shared morning coffee, a hand slipping into another while crossing the street, a head resting on a shoulder during a late-night movie. These simple gestures become declarations that many still fear to make in public. Tak never forces the narrative. He never raises his voice to ask for acceptance. He simply exists beside the person he loves, and that calm, unwavering truth speaks louder than any speech could. He shows that two men in love are not symbols or political talking points. They are just people building a life together. They worry about each other's bad days, celebrate little victories, argue over nothing, and laugh at everything. Their home is made not of grand gestures, but of steady devotion. For queer youth who stay awake scrolling through their phones, searching for hope in the glow of a screen, TAC offers something priceless, a glimpse of a future where love feels warm, safe, and ordinary. A future where a boyfriend isn't a secret, a relationship isn't a risk, and happiness isn't something borrowed in the shadows. Their love doesn't demand attention. It earns admiration. Because TAC proves a quiet truth that the world still learns slowly. Love is love, even when it whispers. And sometimes, the quietest kind of love is the one that changes someone's entire idea of what is possible. There was a time when girls like Minx Judarat blended into the background because the world refused to look at them properly. They were asked to soften their edges, grow out their hair, wear dresses they hated, and pretend their reflection matched who they were supposed to be. Every day felt like a negotiation between identity and acceptance. Then Minx stepped into the spotlight and changed the conversation without even trying. From the moment she appeared, with her sharp jawline and quiet swagger, she gave visibility to a kind of beauty that had always existed but rarely been celebrated. She didn't apologize for her style. She didn't compromise her expression. She claimed space simply by being herself. Her rise wasn't fueled by a carefully constructed image. It was powered by authenticity. When she smiles shyly at a co-star or delivers a line with that subtle confidence that only comes from knowing who you are, she isn't just playing a role. She is showing a generation of girls that femininity is not a single shape. Every photo shoot, every character, every candid moment online becomes a message. You belong here. You are not too much or too little. You do not have to earn the right to exist as yourself. The impact is quiet, but profound. There are young women who now stand straighter in front of mirrors. There are parents who understand their daughters a little better. There are hearts that beat more easily because Minx showed them they weren't alone. Her influence isn't just in fashion or fandom. It's in freedom. Minx represents the possibility of living without shrinking, loving without fear, and stepping into the world without apologizing for the space you occupy. She didn't wait for permission to be seen. She simply showed up, and in doing so, she opened doors that had been locked for far too long. Minx Judarat proves a truth many are still learning. Beauty doesn't come from fitting in. Beauty begins the moment you dare to stand out. Before the world knew her name, Nara Thepnupa faced a world that tried to shrink her. A world where trans girls were told to stay quiet, stay small, stay invisible. But Nara was never meant to disappear. She was born to take up space. Her journey wasn't shaped by permission. It was shaped by defiance. Every step of her transition was a declaration that she would decide who she is, what she looks like, and how brightly she shines. She chose her truth even when it was the harder road. She chose her beauty even when others tried to deny it. She chose herself. And now, when she steps in front of a camera, it doesn't simply capture her. It obeys her. There is power in the way she lifts her chin, fire in the angles of her poses, victory in every fierce glance that challenges anyone who ever doubted her. Nara's presence is not accidental. It is earned. For so long, trans women were edited out of the frame, cropped away by prejudice, and erased by fear. But Nara refuses erasure. Her existence is not a quiet request. It is a statement that echoes far beyond the lens. Young trans girls, scrolling through their screens in the dark, hold their breath when she appears. In her confidence, they see a future. In her strength, they feel hope. In her femininity, they recognize their own. Nara is proof that womanhood is not something granted by society. It is claimed, it is lived, it is undeniable. She does not soften who she is to make others comfortable. She makes the world rise to meet her. Nara Thepnupa doesn't just take photos. She creates moments of liberation. She doesn't just exist. She dominates existence. And when she stands in the spotlight, she carries with her the dreams of those who were told they could never stand there at all. That is why she is unstoppable. Because every time Nara shows up, she makes space for thousands more to follow. Grace Ratha has the kind of beauty that turns heads, but what truly holds attention is the way she carries herself. She walks into a room as if self-doubt has never learned her name. The truth is, it once tried to, but she refused to let it stay. Before the followers, before the admiration, Grace had to navigate a world that wanted her to choose a box and stay inside it. Be feminine, but not too bold. Be confident, but not too loud. Be yourself, but only the parts that people are comfortable with. She broke all of those rules without ever raising her voice. When she posts a fashion look, it's not just about style, it is an act of celebration. Every outfit she puts on is a reminder that clothing is more than fabric, it is expression, identity, armor, and sometimes even liberation. She dresses not to please others, but to honor the version of herself that once dreamed of this confidence. Grace doesn't hide the labels the world tries to use against her. She wears them honestly, bisexual, bold, brilliant. She understands that identity isn't a puzzle to solve, it is a story to live. Her message is clear, steady, and powerful. Self-love isn't optional, it is survival. There are people watching her who spent years wondering if they were allowed to exist fully. They see her choosing herself again and again. They watch her embrace a life that is both soft and unstoppable. And suddenly, possibility feels closer. She doesn't tell her followers to love themselves, she shows them how. Every time she steps in front of a camera, she brings a piece of truth with her. The truth that beauty is not perfection, it is authenticity. The truth that your heart decides who you love, not society. The truth is that confidence doesn't appear overnight. It is built stitch by stitch through courage. Grace lives like someone who knows what it costs to hide, and that is why she refuses to shrink anymore. When she stands tall in a dress that makes her feel like a star, she sends out a quiet invitation to anyone watching. You deserve to feel at home in your own skin, too. You deserve joy. You deserve pride. You deserve to take up space. Grace Ratha doesn't just inspire individuality, she empowers it. And in doing so, she becomes exactly the kind of representation the world has been waiting for. There is a certain kind of bravery that doesn't come from speeches or protests, but from laughter, love, and the courage to be exactly who you are. Hin Nam Phan understood that long before the world did. Growing up, she looked around and saw that many girls, like her girls, who loved other girls, were taught to shrink themselves, to hide, to pretend, to live life in a dimmed version of the truth. But Hin refused to dim. She opened her camera, hit record, and welcomed the world into her real life. Her playful jokes, her goofy dance moves, her soft smiles with the woman she loves. In every video, she delivers a message without preaching a single word. Queer love isn't a secret, it's a celebration. Her audience, mostly young queer women, saw something they never expected. A future that looked happy, normal, beautiful. For girls who once whispered their feelings only in the dark, Hin's visibility became a flashlight, bright, funny, and impossible to ignore. She teaches them that love isn't something you hide. It's something you hold up proudly and say, "This is mine." And sometimes, the bravest thing a person can do is laugh loudly enough that silence can't swallow them anymore. Hin laughs. And because she does, thousands of others have learned to live louder too.